Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. Taking a quick look again at SUI, double checking a few things. We retested our local high, which is essentially the all-time high at that 237 mark. That's where these larger fib levels are at. Keep in mind, I've got a lot of fibs on the chart. We're going to clean up the chart here, post a new play out on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord as per usual. If you're not familiar, looks a little something like this here. But I just kind of give you hindsight, or more so, give you foresight based on previous data, essentially taking the past, trying to acknowledge the future, see where we're at here. But the whole point of me touching on this is that SUI is looking very good. I'm going to clean up the charts, of course, as per usual, and try not to get too confused by all these red lines in the chart. These are just some key resistances and or support levels for us. We can see that local here, 217, that has been a notorious strong support level in the past. It's holding pretty strong here so far with a retest there. Also keep in mind 210 and then $2 even or the other key levels here. I did mention yesterday, if you saw my video, congrats to those who took along around $2. I was a little hesitant on doing so. I didn't want to have too many trades going into the presidential election. I'm glad we did take some trades though, of course. We took Bitcoin, Solana, and Dogecoin. Actually, we had two Dogecoin trades open. Both hit all take profit targets, but yeah, a good 47% from Solana, 66% from Dogecoin, 42% from Bitcoin, and then a secondary Dogecoin trade at 79%. So congrats to everybody who got in on that. That is awesome stuff. Let's take a quick look at the back-end data, see what's going on with the liquidation levels, and kind of go from there. I'm willing to speculate we got a chunk of liquidation above the price action. Because that was a high from October 13th, and also, we retested that range, and a lot of people are shorting that resistance. It's a natural thing to do. I would have done it if I was awake for it, right? So to give you perspective there, even though everything's truly bullish and you generally don't want to short the markets, the best time to short is when any type of coin retests its local or all-time high. Solana's on its way to do that right now with 203 to 210 range. I just talked about that with my community. I think I was chatting in our altcoin chat there for that, because again, it's getting closer to its previous high, and when that happens, an initial rejection makes sense. But keep in mind here, 235 came all the way down to 216. That's pretty solid retracement, but the price action recovered nicely there, and now we're starting to see a pretty sweet pattern here. Generally speaking, this pattern has a tendency of breaking out. Okay, so we're going to pay attention to that and a few other key factors here. So if you are new to the channel, you've been watching me for a while, thanks again so much for the awesome feedback in the comments, or more importantly, just hitting that like button, commenting below. So let's quickly double check here liquidation. There's a chunk here at 236, upwards of 240, 250. You could even round up and say 260 because it's kind of spread out here with some low leverage shorts about 260. Those are a little bit safer, right? Keep in mind, if we break through this key level resistance at 237, I think those upper liquidation levels are going to be very, very problematic. In other words, the price will probably run because of a short squeeze, but also those who are trying to short this coin right now are going to have a pretty bad day. So again, interesting stuff, but heaviest accumulation is 243 to 245. We got maybe 2 to 3 billion in that little concentration there. And we look at our liquidation delta. It's not too high. This is another reason why I think the price is more likely to go up, because you see this massive overextension here where the price action got too high late last night, right? Bitcoin was there as well at 75,650, okay? It pulled back to that 73K range. Now it's consolidating at previous resistance turn support. And generally speaking, when the delta is too high, that's why we took longs with Bitcoin and Dogecoin, because the delta was too many shorts were in the market, and it made a lot of sense as to why the price was going to recover. Mainly, I'm mentioning that because this is still pretty new. We're new to this little liquidation range, or more importantly, we're new to this liquidation delta where there's more longs than shorts in the market. So you want to get on board with the longs versus going against them. That's kind of the concept right now. When we maintain that for too long, such as i.e. 3, 4, or 5 days, that's when the price action is more likely to turn around, because market makers love destroying liquidation. So we take a look here at open interest. We can kind of recognize that. Oops, let's go ahead and zoom back here. The heaviest amount of concentration for people locally here is $2.01, basically $2, okay? And that's a great place to get in. It's that key level, proven to be a strong resistance in the past. And then, of course, now that we've broken through that, should be a new support if we pull back to that range. Either way you look at it, mostly positive here with the overall sense. So let's take a look here at the daily, work our way down. And just to clarify again, we kind of zoom out here and get perspective. All-time high from before October was 217. That's why 217 is an important number we want to pay attention to. If the price does end up pulling back, that would make sense for the price to bounce off there. In fact, I think we've already identified on the hourly that that is an area of retracement where the price bounced off of. Okay, that being said, the next area of retracement or resistance is 236, round number 237, and we're getting closer to breaking through that. If we break through that, folks, I think we're going to see a run to that 240, 250, maybe even 260 mark to sweep that upper level of liquidation. Having said all that, we're above all moving averages, over 50 on the RSI. Stochastic swinging up, we're now converging on the MACD. There's no reason to short this coin from a macro perspective, even from a smaller time frame perspective, which we haven't looked at yet, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that we're fully bullish on every single time frame. This is just generally a consideration to not short, okay? So we're gonna pull up I'm gonna pull up the fibs here for the local high to the local low, because we technically haven't broken that yet. And this will give us good consideration for pivot points. And the reason why it's important is because we can see this consistency here. 210 is that previous resistance. We talked about that just a moment ago. That is a local high. Should be the new low if the price pulls back any further. So I'm going to be very interested in a 210 entry if the price comes back to that level. Again, emphasis on the word if. I'm not confident that that's going to happen with this pattern we're seeing. But we do got a fair value gap here. It's pretty sizable. Most coins are exuding the same behavior, Bitcoin included. So we do see that correction, that corrective behavior to break down below, Bitcoin's local high, for example. Then we'll probably see something along the lines of that for SUI to retrace that area. I'm mentioning this because it's important to recognize that we have a lot of confluence here. 6.618.65, that's that Fibonacci retracement level that's concurrent with a previous high, therefore reinforcing a nice strong support at that level. All moving averages are below the price action. Everything here is looking pretty bullish. We got to recognize we're back under 70 on the RSI, so generally construed as a take profit scenario. In other words, if you have a long position open with SUI, that's usually a good consideration to secure some profits on your long. That's usually what I do myself. RSI crossover from 70 plus to sub 70, that's usually a place in which I take profit. I may not close the entire position because it does look like it wants to run, but we are massively overextended, and if Bitcoin cannot maintain its 74K range, a lot of altcoins are going to have a bad day. They're going to pivot to their local highs, or in this case here, at 0.618, which is also the local high. Ichimoku Cloud on the hourly, also confirming bullish continuation is likely. Again, you don't want to bet against this. The best thing to do in situations like this, because everything's fully bullish, is to either A, consider a long position and make sure that you watch it closely. Because right now, it's not, we're in uncharted territory for Bitcoin, okay? And that creates a lot of weird, strange trading behavior. But at this point, with what we see here so far, it makes a lot more sense to consider either A, a long, and or to wait for a better long position. Do not short into that. Okay, there's too much bullish convergence here to want to short into, and you're probably going to have a pretty bad day if you do that. I'm not saying SUI can't pull back. I really actually even hope that it does. But on the same accord, everything's pointing up right now. Why go against the grain? Why try to fight it? It doesn't make a ton of sense. Anyways, that's kind of my 2 cents there. I'll update our playout chart here, which I've pretty much already done. I'll add some trend lines perhaps and just kind of clean it up a little bit, but the simple takeaway here is that SUI is strong. There's no reason to bet against it if it does pull back, which would make sense to fill its fair value gaps. 217 and 210 are those 2 areas of consideration for pivot and or some nice spot bag entry considerations. I would not recommend taking a leverage trade in the blind. We want to wait and reevaluate if we get back down there, because Bitcoin could be significantly in a worse position. Not like it's even close to being bad, but if that were to happen, you don't want to just jump in blindly. But the truth is, things are pretty awesome right now in the market, and statistically, as you can see here, there's a lot of indication the price is more likely to go up than down. So anyways, that's kind of where we're at. I may consider an SUI trade, but I'm going to probably wait for today's candle to close here first with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin maintains 74K, I think we got a solid chance at taking some good longs with some altcoins moving forward. Either way, between now and then, appreciate your patience if you're anyone who's trading underneath me. And I want to say thanks again for just being an awesome part of my life. Don't forget to like the video, comment below. Join us with Bitunix too as well. They got an awesome promotion this month right now. We're definitely on target to hit that 500 million goal for volume. And if so, there's a 60K prize pool split amongst 20 people. So pretty cool. All you got to do is use my link to register. If you've done so in the past, you're automatically eligible. You can find your information down below. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.